And let's take you through our top story, which is all about the Waqf Amendment Bill. What all has happened, what's in the bag for today? The parliamentary, the meeting, in fact, the parliament is going to begin in a short while from now. What all is going to happen over there? Let's discuss all of that first. A meeting is underway at the Parliament House between Parliamentary Affairs Minister Kiren Rijiju and BJP's Lok Sabha whips and deputy whips on the Waqf Amendment Bill, which is set to be tabled in the Parliament today, like I have said before. During the meeting, whips and deputy whips have been instructed to ensure the presence of all MPs from the introduction of the bill until the voting process is in fact completed. Now let's speak about what Kiren Rijiju has said. In fact, he is going to table the Waqf Amendment Bill in Parliament shortly, and he will respond to the debate and will seek the House's approval for the bill's passage. These are the live visuals coming in from Bhopal of Madhya Pradesh in support of Waqf Bill. These are the women from Muslim community holding a protest. They are chanting, "We support Waqf Bill," as you can clearly hear. In fact, earlier today, the Congress MPs held a meeting with Lok Sabha leader of the opposition, Rahul Gandhi, on the Waqf Amendment Bill of 2024. Let's try to understand the number game though. If you look at the number game, a simple majority of 272 is required in the Lok Sabha for passing of any bill in the House. Remember, the total number of seats in the Lok Sabha is 543, out of which the NDA has a majority of 290 seats. That has been cleared. The issue was discussed in a Business Advisory Committee, which was a BSC meeting, which was chaired by Lok Sabha Speaker Om Birla. The bill is scheduled to be introduced right after the question hour session. Opposition parties demanded a 12-hour-long discussion for the same, citing some strong objections coming in from their way on this particular bill. And then a heated argument between opposition members and government officials led to the opposition, in fact, staging a walkout of that particular BSC meeting that we just spoke of. Speaker Om Birla ultimately ruled out in favor of an 8-hour-long discussion over the same and also expressed a surprise at the opposition's walkout from the BSC meeting. Parliamentary Affairs Minister Kiren Rijiju then emphasized that the government wants a discussion and that all the parties should express their views on the same. The government argues that the bill does not curtail religious freedom, but instead aims to grant rights to those who lack them. Opposition parties, on the other hand, have labelled the bill unconstitutional, claiming it undermines the rights of the Muslim community. Their strong resistance led to the demand for extended debate time, which was not fully accepted. Remember, they demanded the 12-hour-long discussion, but Om Birla ruled in favor of the NDA, said that 8-hour-long discussion is going to happen on the same. The bill introduced last year will now undergo debate and also voting. Now, if passed, it will amend the existing Waqf laws, though the exact changes remain a point of contention between the parties at the moment. Let's listen in to some of the political voices also who have spoken about the issue.
आज ऐतिहासिक दिन है और वक्फ संशोधन बिल 2025 आज लोकसभा में पेश किया जाएगा और मैं इतना साफ साफ कहना चाहता हूं कि देश हित में जो बिल ला रहे हैं ये करोड़ों मुसलमानों ही नहीं बल्कि पूरा देश समर्थन करेगा और देश हित में कोई भी काम हो और गरीब मुसलमानों के लिए, महिलाओं के लिए, बच्चों के लिए जो भी जरूरत काम है उससे हम पीछे नहीं हट रहे हैं और जो लोग विरोध कर रहे हैं वो राजनीतिक कारण से विरोध कर रहे हैं। बाकी तर्क मैं सदन में रखूंगा और मैं ये भी चाहता हूं कि अगर कोई विरोध करता है तो तर्क पे विरोध करे और एक एक तर्क, एक एक सेक्शन का, एक एक क्लोज का हम जवाब देंगे, क्योंकि जब हम इस तरह का बिल लेके आ रहे हैं बहुत सोच समझ करके बहुत तैयारी के साथ हम आए हैं।
भारतीय जनता पार्टी तो वो दल है, ज़मीन बस देख ले, इन्हें ज़मीन से बहुत प्यार है। उत्तर प्रदेश में हम लोगों ने देखा, आपने भी वो खबरें चलाई थी कि एक ही रात में 15 मिनट में कितना मुनाफा हो गया था। कोई चीज़ 2 करोड़ की थी, 16-17 करोड़ की बिक गई थी। रेलवे, डिफेंस, सबसे ज़्यादा ज़मीन है इनके पास। रेलवे को बेचा इन्होंने, डिफेंस की ज़मीनें बिकी हैं, और अब बचा है वक्फ बोर्ड, उसकी भी ज़मीन बेचने की तैयारी है। आगे से दिखावा कुछ और है, ये सब पर्दा है अपनी नाकामियों को छिपाने के लिए।
All right, let's take the chat further. Let's try to understand the entire matter from our experts joining us on the broadcast. Senior journalist KV Prasad and political analyst advocate Harsh Dahiya, both of them joining us on the broadcast. A very good morning to both of you gentlemen. KV Prasad, first coming to you, I want your opening statement on how exactly do you view all of these amendments that have been proposed, and what are you expecting from today's parliamentary session?
Well, certainly this bill is contentious because the opposition has made its position very clear that it is going to oppose to the extent possible. They have already made it public that they believe that this is unconstitutional. Of course, the government has come up with its own clarification. This is going to be sharply contested on the floor of the House when the debate progresses. And already parties are divided according to their own understanding of the situation. We have very clear opposition and a very clear, but the numbers do not add up for the opposition to make a difference beyond the point. But that's where it stands, please, Sakshi.
Harsh, let me also ask you, how do you view this? Let's have an opening statement coming in from you as well.
Sakshi ji, my personal view in this particular matter is that in a constitution-driven country and a secular country like India, first of all, such a board should not have existed at all. If it did exist like other endowment boards of other religious organizations, it should not have special powers which have been vested in the Waqf board. Like, no other endowment board of any other religious community can claim land on its own. And they need to have proper papers, but it is only the Waqf board which has the power to claim any land, and that too retrospectively as well. So such a thing should not be allowed in a constitutional country. Such a thing should not be allowed in a secular country like India. It is like a quasi Islamic rule that we are having in this country with the acts like Waqf Board Act.
Right. Mr. KV Prasad, this is just a quick trivia. We know for a fact that Waqf board is in fact in India the largest, in fact the third largest board that control the properties. Don't you think there should be some sort of regulation over it as well?
Well, the question of regulation is always welcome, but the question is if there is an argument that is coming against it, that should be heard and that should be reasoned out, and that I'm sure will happen when the bill comes up on the floor of the House. Because in the Joint Parliamentary Committee, we've had a lot of fractious issues coming up, some accusations against the way in which, the manner in which the JPC was conducted. There were issues raised even after that. So I'm sure, you see, in a healthy democracy, we need to have a debate, a frank discussion, and bring about a consensus to ensure that there is harmony all around. And the question is, if surely there are past errors that need to be corrected, they should be corrected. Nobody is going to question that. The only issue is how are we going to do about it in a democratic setup? We have a parliament that's going to debate, discuss, and dissect the bill. You have a contrary point of view that should be heard with respect, and eventually, as the numbers do so tell us, the numbers will stack up in favor of the bill as it appears at the start point, please.
Definitely. Harsh, let me come back to you with the question of gamble which is at play over here. We know for the fact that NDA allies, all of them have come out to support in this particular issue. They are standing united, but at the same time, let's speak about JDU. Don't you think that whatever is happening with regards to the Waqf Amendment Bill is going to show some sort of sparks with regards to the Bihar elections coming up?
See, definitely it will have effect on the Bihar elections and other state elections as well, wherein the NDA allies who are seen to be more pro-Muslim community, they would definitely get a setback. But we should not forget that sometimes these political parties need to, accept these setbacks for the greater good of the country. Whatever is happening with this Amendment Act, that is going to benefit the country in the longer run, and that is going to actually benefit the poor Muslims who have been who have not been made beneficiaries of this Waqf board, and the profits being driven by the board and by the lands they own, or they claim to own. At least now there would be some accountability. There would be several political repercussions, but in the long run, it will be of great benefit for the country and for the Muslim community as well.
Right, right. Also, Harsh, in fact, let me just take a pause over here and try to explain what our viewers are looking at through their screens. On the left side of your screens, they are looking at the opposition on this particular bill. On the right side of it, these are the visuals, the live ones coming in from Bhopal, where the women and in fact the men have also joined them in support of Waqf bill. We can see the placards that they are holding up in support of Prime Minister Modi, showing their support. They belong to the Muslim community and they have come out in support of the Waqf Amendment Bill. Coming back to you, Mr. K.V. Prasad, I also want your opinion. How exactly do you view the kind of effects which will be happening on the Bihar election with this bill coming into the picture?
Well, what we've heard is the Janata Dal United certainly has concerns. They have flagged it. That's what reports suggest. And I'm sure because the BJP and the JDU are in power both at the center, are in the government in the center and the state. So Mr. Nitish Kumar is going to face elections and the party is going to face elections, as also the coalition is going to face elections in about 6 months from now. So they are going to gear up because anything that changes the current arrangement, their opponent, the principal challenger, the Rashtriya Janata Dal, is bound to exploit. Remember, Rashtriya Janata Dal basic, we all know the kind of, they have a support base which is known as the MY, which is the Muslims and the Yadavs. So obviously, Mr. Nitish Kumar would not like to give any advantage to his opponent at this point of time when his government is facing, let us presume, anti-incumbency, which is what all reports suggested. So I'm sure this is a political calculation that the JDU is making. If the concerns, unlike Naidu, whose election is just over, so he has 3-4 years time to consolidate his own work. So unlike the JDU is in a peculiar situation, I feel, from this point of time.
Right. Harsh, how do you view the stormy BAC meeting which was conducted yesterday? Because seemingly the speaker was quite taken aback when he saw the opposition walking out of it. They put forth the demand of 12-hour long discussion, but instead they got the 8-hour long discussion on the same. How do you view that stormy session that transpired?
Sakshi, before coming to your question, I would like to, tell the viewers, like, you rightly pointed out that there are two visuals running on your screen where the opposition MPs are, opposing this bill. And there are these common Muslims from Bhopal who are, praising Prime Minister Modi for bringing out this bill and for actually benefiting the poor Muslims. I would like to point it out to the viewers that it is only 250 such Ashraf families who control the Waqf board and all the lands and all the money that is endowed with them. Why should a pasmanda, why should not a pasmanda, why should not a normal Muslim have the right to control the Waqf board and get benefits from the Waqf board as well? The benefit should run down to each and every Muslim of the country, which is not happening and which will happen with this particular amendment. And now coming to the parliamentary discussion on this particular bill. See, the speaker has given his go-ahead for 8 hours long discussion, but I can give you in writing right now that the opposition will stage a walkout. There wouldn't be even a substantial discussion of 3 to 4 hours, and it will be complete theatrics at play by the opposition parties who are rejecting or opposing the Waqf Amendment Act. And a proper discussion wouldn't take place. And mark my words that the opposition doesn't want a discussion. They want to create theatrics. They want to create an atmosphere in the country wherein they want to say that, Muslims are opposing this particular act, whereas it is the common Muslim who is supporting this particular act, and they are really happy with the amendments that are being brought in by the government.
But Harsh, one point of contention from the opposition side is also having two non-Muslims in the board, right? So what are your thoughts about that?
See,
Why
this is
having non-Muslim people on board to control the properties of a board which is majorly and for years have been controlled by Muslim community only?
See, let me make it clear that Waqf board is not a religious body. It doesn't control religious actions of the society. It is only an endowment board. So far, unchecked powers have been given to it. They should be regulated, and this Amendment Act will ensure that that happens. But I would like to go further and state that such power should not have existed in the first place itself. That such power should have never been given to any endowment board of any religious body, let alone Waqf board. And no other endowment body of any religious community in this country enjoys the power that the Waqf board enjoys at the moment. And also, this is like I clearly pointed out that this is not a religious body. It doesn't control the religious customs of Muslims. So there is no question where if there are some non-Muslims on the board, it is not going to affect any religious actions of the society at all.
Right. Harsh and Mr. KV Prasad, I would request both of you to please stay on with us. We have got a quick update to give to our viewers and a couple of reactions also following after that. All India Tanzeem Ulema-e-Islam National General Secretary Maulana Shahabuddin Rizvi has said that he hopes that the Waqf Bill is passed in the Parliament. So a supporting statement has also come in. Let's now take a look at a couple of reactions that we have received in the same.
ये जेपीसी में सरकार ने खुद ये कबूल करना चाहिए कि वहाँ पर क्लॉज बाय क्लॉज जो डिस्कशन होना था, जो एकदम बहुत गौर से हमें चर्चा करना था, वही वहाँ पे नहीं किए। तो सरकार का पहले दिन से ही एक रवैया था कि संविधान के खिलाफ, हमारे अल्पसंख्यकों के समुदाय के खिलाफ एक ऐसा कानून ले आए जो देश में शांति के बजाय अशांति का वातावरण लाए।
आज का दिन गरीब, यतीम, मिस्कीन और पसमानदा तबकात के लिए बहुत अहम दिन है, क्योंकि आज सरकार वक्फ संशोधन विधेयक संसद में पेश करने जा रही है। तो ये दिन आज इतना अहम दिन है कि हम दुआ कर रहे हैं सुबह से ही कि जो सरकार वक्फ संशोधन बिल पेश कर रही है कि इस बिल को कामयाबी मिल जाए और ये पास हो जाए। और जो लोग ये कह रहे हैं कि ये बर्बाद करने वाला बिल है मुसलमानों को, तो मैं ये बता दूं कि ये बर्बाद नहीं, बल्कि ये मुसलमानों के जो पसमानदा तबकात के लोग हैं उन्हें न्याय दिलाने वाला है, अधिकार दिलाने वाला है और कामयाब और आबाद करने वाला ये कानून बन रहा है। तो लेकिन इन लोगों की परेशानी ये है कि इन लोगों ने चाहे तो वो धार्मिक रूप से नेता हों, जो मुस्लिम पर्सनल लॉ बोर्ड के लोग हों, या ओवैसी हों, या इमरान मसूद हों, या इनसे जुड़े हुए और भी लोग जो भूमाफिया हैं जिन्होंने वक्फ की प्रॉपर्टीज़ पर अवैध कब्जे करके और गरीबों के और पसमानदा तबकात के अधिकार छीने और वो आज अमीर बने बैठे हैं। हाँ, उनके लिए ये उनसे उनके अधिकार छीनेंगे और उन्हें जो है वो ज़मीनें छोड़नी पड़ेंगी और उनके लिए बर्बादी का दिन है।
Mr. KV Prasad, if you heard what the last Maulana had to say, and before we took those reactions, I also highlighted what Maulana Shahabuddin Rizvi had to say about this as well. Some of the Maulanas themselves have come out in support of this particular amendment bill. What exactly is the problem? In fact, the central government has been saying that we are not eradicating the system completely. We are just putting a regular check on it. We just want you to provide the proof. We just want to regulate a little bit. So what exactly do you think is the problem over here?
No, I am not aware of what exactly problems people from the other voices are raising. They have been raising issues. So what I'm saying, in a democratic exercise, voices on either side of the aisle have to be heard. And whoever convinces the other side gets that's it. There's nothing else. I mean, whether I like a point A or like a point B is not the issue. Issue is if there is a point of view, even if a marginal voice, that should be heard, because that's how democratic institutions work, and that's how democratic processes allow lawmaking process. So it's just that aspect of it. I think we've heard voices which are on both sides of the aisle. There could be some in the middle too. So that's how it constitutes. So I am not aware into the nitty-gritties of the bill that is going to. I'm looking at the larger political perspective that people seem to have given to it, and the larger point of view that the government has put. In fact, if the government had put out some FAQs recently or yesterday, It talked about how it looked at the best practices in some of the Islamic countries on management of Waqf properties. Fair enough. That's good. I mean, that's how governments are there, because the government for everybody. So it's the people who work and vote for a government, and government works for people. That's the way the arrangement is, Sakshi.
Right. Mr. KV Prasad, just a follow-up question. How do you view this not 12 hours long debate, but at least 8 hours given for the discussion? How do you view this?
Well, I think there's also a caveat that if required, the time would be extended. So that's perfectly ordered, because the Speaker of the day and the BAC, the opposition had wanted to say what it say. It's normally the business advisory committee that fixes the time according to the arrangement, because I also see a parliamentary calendar which is increasingly coming down, because if you want the government to look at the aspect of the bill to be cleared by Lok Sabha, then it goes to the transmit to the other house, Raj Sabha, which also has to enact. And as of today, April 4th is the targeted date of adjournment. So it's a very tight calendar that the Parliament is looking at. So I'm sure the parliamentary managers of the governing coalition is looking at that in that perspective. But having said that, as I said, 8 hours is what they tried. But I've seen many a debate where the debates went far beyond the allocated time, depending on the kind of issues that people raise and the kind of responses, and also factoring in the fact that there could be as my fellow panelists said, there could be some adjournments, or there could be some stalling of processes and procedures which will eat into the allocated time. So I've seen this in, say, for instance, the Poto, when it was passed, when and we had to have eventually had a joint session in the year 2000, which continued way beyond the allocated hours on a contentious issue where there is bound to have different point of view and sharp differences. It is but natural that times are dictated by and eventually it is the sense of the House that the presiding officer takes as the debate moves on, please.
Right. Harsh, coming to you next, let's speak about what has happened now. After Lok Sabha, we are looking at INDIA bloc again coming back together. They have had their fair share of disagreements in the past couple of instances. But this time around, we are again looking at, a united opposition against this amendment bill. How do you view this?
See, I completely agree with what KV Prasad ji said. Like he rightly pointed out that we are a democratic country and there should be proper discussion about such bills. And there would be disagreements as well. There would be agreements as well. And, it will be clear in Lok Sabha today that what the purview of the opposition is, whether they want a fair discussion or whether they just want to stall the proceedings of the parliament. So if they are stalling the proceedings of the parliament, then it is clear to the people of the country that they are not pro-Muslim. They just want to create a fear-mongering atmosphere where they portray BJP as a anti-Muslim party. And the biggest fear that the India bloc and the opposition parties have today is that BJP is being seen as a more pro-Muslim party than ever. BJP is pro-poor, BJP is pro-Muslim. That's what people are perceiving it to be. And now with the India bloc and especially the Congress, they are seeing their vote bank shifting. And now, like you talked about the unity in India bloc, I feel it's a very floating unity that on most occasions that they have no consensus on most of the agendas. But when it comes to opposing the BJP on national development issues where it will benefit the nation, they stand united in opposition against such good reforms that the BJP is trying to bring in. But when it comes to other political agendas or wherein they should be united, then they are seen to be fractured. So India Alliance is an alliance of compulsion. It won't last. I've been saying from day one since India Alliance was announced that it is not a natural alliance. They don't have a common agenda. They don't have a common program. They don't have any consensus on issues. And it is a fractured alliance and it won't last for long.
Right. Harsh and Mr. KV Prasad, please stay on with us. Let's also look at what exactly has been happening so far on the parallel lines ahead of the Waqf Bill discussion in Parliament today. Posters have also appeared outside the office of Ernakulam Congress MP Haibi Eden. Eden has warned Congress leaders of potential backlash from the women and children of Munambam who continue to protest against the bill. The posters, in fact, read as follows. I'm going to quote the lines written on the posters here. Don't think you have won, even if you have decided to vote against the bill. Let's take a look at a couple of more reactions coming in over the same.
We have issued the whip, so we are with NDA. Thank you.
देश में 140 करोड़ में आधी आबादी महिलाओं की है, तो आधी आबादी को भी तो हक चाहिए। तो महिलाओं का विरोध ये करने वाले लोग महिलाओं का विरोध क्यों कर रहे हैं? अगर उनको हिस्सेदारी दी जा रही है, 2 महिलाओं को उसमें ऐड किया जा रहा है, वक्फ बोर्ड की जो नियमावली बन रही है सदस्यों की नियुक्ति में 2 महिलाओं को रखा जा रहा है और 2 अन्य जैसे सिख, ईसाई, जैन, फारसी जो उनको भी रखा जा रहा है, तो उसका ये विरोध कर रहे हैं। और दूसरी चीज कि जैसे अब हम आपको बता दें कि जो संशोधन है ये नासमझ लोग हैं, इनको कांग्रेस, सपा, बसपा के लोगों ने गुमराह करके रखा है, इनको सिर्फ नफरत सिखाया है। ये नहीं चाहते, ये संविधान को अगर मानते, संविधान पे भरोसा रखते, तो जैसे देखिए सेक्शन 40 में रीजन टू बिलीव के तहत अगर वक्फ बोर्ड किसी प्रॉपर्टी पर दावा करता है तो उस प्रॉपर्टी का मालिक सिर्फ वक्फ ट्रिब्यूनल में ही अपील कर सकता है।
जिस तरीके से बिल को आज टेबल किया जाना है और 8 घंटे इसके ऊपर बहस होना है, तो अभी देखते हैं, बिल को आने दीजिए, बिल आएगा तो बिल आके देखते हैं कि इसके अंदर क्या होता है, क्योंकि अभी तो हमारे सामने कोई चीज़ है ही नहीं। जब हमारे सामने कोई चीज़ है ही नहीं तो हम चर्चा काहे की करें। ऑल इंडिया शिया फसला बोर्ड ने बाकायदा जो सुझाव दिए हैं वो सुझाव ऑल इंडिया शिया फसला बोर्ड के पास मौजूद है। हम देखते हैं कि उस सुझाव को माना गया है कि उस सुझाव को नहीं माना गया है या उस सुझाव को नज़रअंदाज किया गया है। लिहाजा अभी बिल आता है, बिल आने के बाद में हम देखते हैं। फिर हमारे पास बहुत से रास्ते हैं, ये नहीं है कि आज अगर तो बिल पास हो जाता है तो आज सारे रास्ते हमारे पास ख़त्म हो जाते हैं। सारे रास्ते ख़त्म ना होकर हमारे पास में अभी बहुत से रास्ते हैं, उन रास्तों के ऊपर विचार किया जाएगा।
Mr. K.V. Prasad, I would also like to hear from you. What exactly do you think about an entire united opposition against this particular bill? How do you see the situation?
Well, let us get this clear. The India Alliance has shown signs of pressure or cracking. That's because there are issues where they have competing interests. And that's natural because it's not a monolith solidified party which has an ideological compulsion which sticks there. Of course, all of them have a basic glue, which is they don't believe in, their policies are against what the BJP does. So it's a other pole of that. And that's very clear. So that's no issue on it. On issues, they do come together. It has happened in the last 3 sessions of parliament. On certain issues, they've drifted apart. But as yet, to see that as a disintegration, because it was an electoral alliance that came in. There are attempts to try and work together. And this is a classic case where there'll be a test of strength, so to say. The bench strength of both the governing coalition and the opposition alliance would be tested in terms of real numbers. There's going to be no argument on that, number one. So also the fact, you see, I've seen 30 years that I've been reporting parliament, opposition of the day has its own understanding. And we have a parliamentary dictum. They have stalled proceedings. On certain bills, we have seen that physically bills were snatched from the minister's hands and torn apart. Eventually, that has not stopped the lawmaking process, and law has happened. In particular, I would refer to what happened in the Women's Reservation Bill. From 96 onwards, it survived a very long process. Laws are made, processes are followed, dissension, disagreements are very much part of democratic setup. I'm not saying government A or government B or opposition A or opposition B. I've seen coalition governments in progress. I've seen single party in government. I've seen all this to happen together. So this is a very, very perfect way of dealing with it, because we have a polity which has various understandings. So those shades are bound to be reflected. After all, what is parliament? It's a microcosm of the society, the society in which we are. We are the people who elect members of parliament. So they are the representatives of the people. So obviously, voices of people are going to be reflected in the way in which the debates are conducted, and policies and programs are going to be articulated. The simple parliamentary diktat is, or parliamentary thing is, the opposition can have its say, but the government will have its way.